Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin McCarthy gave up everything to become Speaker of the House in name only, okay? He is Speaker of the House in name only. There's no reason at all to say, oh my goodness, it's business as usual, because it is completely different from business as usual. The paradigm has completely changed. I want to read you an NBC News article. The link will be below. How Kevin McCarthy got the votes for Speaker and why it could haunt him. I was actually wrong, but in a good way. I did segments yesterday, videos, on how 5 Republicans could kick him out. He could be removed by 1 Republican, Matt Gaetz or anyone else, Lauren Boebert or anyone else. The Republican rules package released Friday, and I'm reading from NBC News. The Republican rules package released Friday includes those concessions. It will allow any one member to force a motion to vacate the Speaker chair and overthrow McCarthy. It makes it harder for the House to raise spending, taxes, and debt limit. And it includes conservative representation across the House, including by adding members of the Freedom Republicans to key committees. This is fantastic. Also, the rules package focuses on investigating Biden on numerous fronts. Okay? You're talking about felonies there, not an ellipsis, not rhetoric that emboldens people, not absurd leaps of logic pertaining to Trump's personality and his personality's effect on individuals across the universe. These are felonies, 150 banking transactions that were investigated by financial institutions, according to CBS News linked to Hunter and Joe. Not one transaction was investigated with Trump, not one from a financial institution. They couldn't even get Deutsche Bank to claim that Trump stole money from them, because Deutsche Bank made money off of Trump, loaning $2 billion. But anyway, you have emails that the New York Post, Washington Post would never, New York Post broke 2 years ago that Twitter and the Democratic Party and government agencies on Twitter censored and silenced. So we know why, because it led to felonies. They're going to investigate that. But ladies and gentlemen, an impeachment is certain and imminent. And that's huge. I mean, 2023 is going to be an amazing year politically. Definitely hit subscribe to this channel. 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. every single day on this channel. I'll have videos. Would love to share the mornings with you. We're almost at 203,000 subscribers. We are very, very close to 203,000 subscribers, and it's because of you. At 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. I have, and it's doing very well, I have H.A. Goodman's other channel. And every day at H.A. Goodman's other channel, I have videos at 9 a.m. and 12 p.m., 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. on this channel. Become a member to my super thanks. Thank you. It's below, next to the like and the share buttons, and to my Patreon. Thank you. If you want to support my work long-term, my Patreon is below. Go to hagoodman.com to read my writing in The Hill, The Huffington Post, Salam, The Jerusalem Post, The Federalist, other publications as well, and you can sign up for a newsletter. I'm going to read you this again. This should ease any concern, ladies and gentlemen. How Kevin McCarthy got the votes for Speaker and why it could haunt him. I thought it was 5. It would allow any one member to force a motion to vacate, so they could force a no-confidence session for McCarthy, or a vote of no confidence. It would allow any one member to force a motion to vacate the Speaker's chair and overthrow McCarthy. That's never happened. It's never even been, I don't even know how many Democrats would have to have overthrown Pelosi. I think Pelosi versus every progressive and most of the Democratic Party, she would probably defeat them in a cage match. I mean, the Democrats are petrified of leadership. They're a political machine. They worship, or they abide by, and they show absolute allegiance and obedience to the party bosses. Tammany Hall exists. It's the 2022 version of Tammany Hall. Okay? This is a populist Republican Party. And Trump turned it into a populist Republican Party. They're now actually going to do the things that they wanted to do. And they're going to oppose. See, conservatives or Republicans generally for the past 30 years, oftentimes, I mean, I was on the left my whole life up until recently. But I can just, from the outside looking in, and now being more conservative on a lot of issues, voting for Trump in 24, I can tell you, Republicans would say, hey, we need to do this. And then Paul Ryan would say, nah, not really. Well, no. And McConnell wouldn't. Trump came in. We got to do this, everything I promised. Trump was the most honest politician and that's to his detriment. Everything he promised, he tried to implement. Democrats promised Medicare for all, Green New Deal, abolishing ICE, abolishing the Electoral College, packing the Supreme Court, all of these many absurd ideas. Some of them are noble ideas, like Medicare for all, but not feasible. But they wouldn't even vote for that on the House floor, Democrats. They raised so much money from Medicare for all, and then they lied to their voters when they got Bernard Sanders and AOC to funnel people who would vote green. It is a racket on the Democratic Party. You know how much money pundits have made pumping Medicare for all and not pushing for a House floor vote? You know how much, that's why I respect Jimmy Dore so much. He's awesome, but he led the charge on the left just to have them vote on it. And then you had pundits going after him saying, no, you can't vote on it because of this, and that. And AOC said, oh yeah, you can't vote on it. What? Why not? You know it would fail. But you knew impeaching Trump twice would fail also. You still did that because Democrats only care about political power and influence and optics, marketing, public relations. Now it's different. Now McCarthy, if he does, you don't have to trust him. If he doesn't, it behooves him. It's his speakership is one vote away from being removed. One person, one Republican, Matt Gaetz, tomorrow can say that's it. Or after the rules package passes, which it will. But Democrats are upset with the rules package. Well, you know what? They lost the House of Representatives. We had a recession. We're going into another recession. They've tanked the economy, ladies and gentlemen. 200 million barrels of strategic petroleum reserves pumped into the economy after Biden's economic policy and energy policy led to 14 states and oil and gas associations suing him. Okay? That's going to be addressed by a Republican House, in addition to impeaching Biden, who almost certainly committed felonies with Hunter. It's within, you just have to read the New York Post. I'm not making things up. Okay? So he comes in, Powell and Yellen and Biden's administration takes a victory lap in 21. Then there's inflation through the roof. Now, real wages are down 7 to 8%. And you have a situation where there's a never-ending war in Europe, which is like, Trump leaves, and then suddenly there's a never-ending quagmire. Isn't that interesting? How does that work out? How does that happen? But what Matt Gaetz did, and by the way, he voted president yesterday, so he acquiesced, but in a good way. I mean, he did the right thing because now you have McCarthy giving up everything, all the traditional powers. He's a speaker in name only. Okay? Remember, one Republican can remove him. This has never happened before. Pelosi or Paul Ryan, these were party bosses. Okay? The Republican Party, prior to Trump, handled itself the same way as the Democratic Party, perhaps not as much of a machine, but the same way, worshiping lobbyists, and you don't see that as much with the Trump Republicans. Of course there's lobbyists there, but you don't see that as much. And you don't see this with Trump or just Republicans in general. You don't see government agencies with Democratic Congress people working with Twitter to silence and censor a true news story. See, the people who focus on information that misinform people all the time. It was true. And what happened was the truth would have made you vote Trump. The truth about the Democratic Party makes you vote Trump. That's why they have to censor the New York Post. That's why they had to. And they do so in the most duplicitous and disingenuous and deceitful manner. They say, oh, the Federal Bureau and Homeland weren't doing anything wrong. They were just informing Twitter of people breaking Twitter's guidelines. Number one, Twitter's guidelines happen to always side with what benefits the Democratic Party. Twitter's guidelines happen to always prevent speech from conservatives. How does that work? And then you have government agencies who don't work for Twitter, who have no business telling Twitter about, people that are breaking their guidelines. 250,000 conservative accounts or Republican accounts, most of which were Republican or conservative or Trump supporters, were banned or suspended. That shows an entire political system after one political side, and still almost half the electorate voted for Trump. If you just had an even playing field, there would be no stopping him. The country is a lot more conservative than one might think. Because you have everyone from Jimmy Kimmel, Seth Meyers, Stephen Colbert, to Twitter, to government agencies, to the record industry, Hollywood. Everything is geared towards pushing up this belief system, this paradigm, this absurd, warped, and oftentimes twisted ideology. And still, almost half the electorate. And every day is Trump is the menace, Trump is a horrible person, he's the best. And still, almost half the electorate chose the orange menace. What does that tell you? Okay, Trump is running a 40 time in 5 seconds, but with a 100-pound backpack. So take the 100-pound backpack off and see how fast he runs the 40. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe to this channel. One vote, people. Remember that. This is pretty amazing. Give me your thoughts. Thanks so very much. I'll be back in a couple of hours. Share this everywhere. It's really important.